Hey, everybody. It's Testimony Tuesday, and I'm here with Manny Chavaria. Did I say it right,
Yes,
Manny?
you did.
I've been practicing that, but you're such a testimony, and we're going to repost your testimony for people to see because you were on the main stage at Lakewood and just shared an encouragement of your testimony. And as we're focused on helping people write and share their testimonies, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And you're such a great example of that. But on this Testimony Tuesday, I wanted you to share, because even since you did that testimony a while back, you have seen God open up new doors and new opportunities and new things in your own life. You're a freedom mentor now. You continue to go to Open Door Mission and share and disciple and encourage those guys out there that have been in kind of shutdown mode for a while. So they've needed your encouragement. And then you're also a freedom facilitator on Friday nights. And there may be other things you can share as well. But the main thing is that even in the midst of you dealing with COVID and the struggles and stress of all this, that you continue to grow and that kind of thing. And I really like to hit on this thing around your stories always being written. Your testimony is never really over. Your story continues. And so even though you had a testimony, I think you're creating more testimonies. So just share on this Testimony Tuesday with everyone a little encouragement around the next kind of stage in Manny's life, kind of what's a new thing? How's your story continuing today?
Well, I could tell you that since that time that my mother and I, who is part of the testimony, being on that stage, and of course, how I was directed about how I got to Lakewood in the first place, that the Lord directed me there. And I could tell you that just like everybody else, say like last year it started out on a high. In 2019, I got hired in the best job, highest paying job I ever had. And man, it just seems like I was skyrocketing. And then, of course, like everybody else, COVID came. But I mean, I was an essential worker, so I continued to work through. But then here came the struggles, through sometimes and being blessed, just like Pastor preached 2 weeks ago about with the persecution comes the blessing. Man, that message was for me because I got the blessing, but I wasn't able to handle the persecution. And let's just say I lost the best job that I had. And then, of course, I had 2 knee surgeries, knocked me down. And then I got COVID and struggled with that. And then, of course, the hardest out of all that was that I lost my father in October the 20th of 2020. So, that was a tough way to end the year, was losing my dad. And this was 2 weeks after him telling me that, my dad was a Christian, and him just saying that he was so proud of me, and that basically I was the biggest answer to miracle, to prayer, and the biggest miracle that he had ever witnessed in his life. I mean, and just to hear your father say that, knowing, all the things that I had done in my addiction, I mean, that was just something else.
Well,
But
and so many men long for that and don't get it. So, what a blessing to have the blessing before he left this world. You know that you're going to see him again, but it's hard. It's hard to lose someone. But to get that blessing that men long for, that had to really fill something within you.
oh, it did. It was, first of all, it was God giving me the gift, knowing that, after processing that, really he got to go home. He knew, I look back now and I know that he was ready for the transition. He just couldn't tell me the transition. But it gave, as I look back, the God gave me the miracle of nothing being left on the table. There was nothing more I could have said. There was no resentment that was being felt. So when God restores relationships, as he puts pieces back together, man, he had completed that phase. And then of course now he's working it in with, with me and my mother, because my mother is still around. So we still have things that we're working out, from past things. But God just continues to restore relationships in my life.
That's so good. And your mom's such an incredible part of your testimony because she overcame as well. And I know one of the great things about God is he'll use you in the area of your struggle. And you've really stayed true to that. You can be distracted with a lot of things, but what would you tell people about, your calling or where they may be called? How do you know how God's going to use you, or how what your main lane is?
Well, it's for me. I just know that you know we say when he says that he knew me in my mother's womb, and of course we're all going to have struggles. My particular area of struggle was addiction, and so really I know the hopelessness, I know the places it takes you to. And I can remember really when it first spoke to me about serving was when I was inside prison, and people would come inside and give their time. And it's like out of all the things that are going on in there, it's like you have this little ray of hope. And I just remember how I felt when these people would come in, and then it just started to spark something. And so for me, it's just we journey through our struggles, but our struggles, I mean, we just went over this the other day that God doesn't waste any of your pain. So basically, what I can do is for the person who is struggling, I can reach back and just share encouragement through my story, and just let them know that hey, if God can do it for me, He can do it for you. And so it turns your pain, your mess turns into the message, and so the easiest way to stay to be able to identify is just to share and to encourage people who are going through what I've been through. And I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. I mean, when God delivers me for something, he's not just for me to say, hey, I'm going to sit in my deliverance. It's for me to go back because there's nothing new under the sun. So
Right.
there's somebody else struggling like I did. So, it's just me reaching my hand back and pulling them up to me.
Yeah, that's so good. I don't want to make this too long, but one thing that stands out to me about you is that, you're so humble in the midst of everything. I mean, you are being used mightily for God. He's opening up doors, but you don't necessarily feel worthy. And I think a lot of people out there can relate to that. We don't feel worthy. Maybe we've done some things we're not proud of. And even though our testimony is being written and all that kind of thing. Sometimes you just have to serve in the midst of your struggle, or serve anyway, or as people are writing their testimonies, they may not feel worthy. What would you tell somebody that's maybe not feeling worthy, but God wants to use them anyway? But you're such a great example of that. So encourage those people that may not right now in the midst of what they're going through. They may not feel worthy.
Well, it's really just willingness. The fact of it is that in something that's where almost we're produced minded, where we produce things, and really it's not about that. It's about faith. And I may not have all the answers, or I may not see how I can, get through this, but all I really have to do is just be willing. If I am just willing to allow Christ to use me, then he's going to overcome those obstacles. And I mean, if I'm too cocky or confident, I need to really take a look at that. Is it me or is it him? Because no matter what, I mean, when I am serving, I mean, God gets the glory. I just get to tell the story. So I got to make sure I point the finger to the one. But yeah, so I mean, I always do feel that, man, I don't know, can I really handle this? Can I be a mentor? Because there's a responsibility. With every higher level comes more responsibility. But if I'm just willing and I give it to him, then he's going to see me through.
That's so good. Well, Manny, love your story. I love you as a person. And I'm so thankful for you because we need people just like you that have been through it because you get it and you get what people are going through, and you can encourage them in ways that maybe I can't. Or it's like Pastor Joe always says, you can minister to people I can't. It's hard for a guy in prison to receive from me. But if you've been to prison, they're more likely to say, okay, he gets me. And so I appreciate the fact that you're so open and willing to just give back and impact other people's lives and serve others. But you're a great example for people to follow. So I'm excited for people to hear your story and also know that your story is still being written. So we may do another big testimony on you sometime, because who knows what God's going to do in your future. But we love you. God bless you. And we're thankful for you.
All right. Thank you.